Good morning, everyone. December 4th, 2017. Sorry for the little technical difficulty that we have just incurred, but we are back. We are live, better than ever. Bob, what'd you do this weekend? How are you doing?
You know what? I'm doing great. Just one of the drawbacks of live television. Sometimes it just doesn't pull off the first time. So here we go. Take two.
Yeah, so
weekend was great. Did some holiday decorating, did some pre-show work. Just for the record, I'm not seeing us live yet. Are you?
I am. So,
okay, perfect.
yes, so we are live. Hopefully we have some viewers here. Sorry about that, everyone. And Bob, for the audience at home, this is actually take two. We actually ran through the whole entire show. And this is take two, and hopefully we'll do it better than ever. So let's go right over to our social media here. This is our tweet deck, where you can follow the show at Bob and Kevin Show on Twitter. And this is the tweet deck, which to me was a brand new concept. Bob, can you tell me a little bit about what tweet deck actually is?
TweetDeck is a product by Twitter, which is weird because they don't really ever promote it. I don't feel like they promote it, to me at least. And it's basically a place where you can aggregate all your different feeds. You can even have hashtag searches that are in their own columns. The thing that I like about it is it allows you to set up teams. So that means both Kevin and I can tweet from the Bob and Kevin Show Twitter handle. So yeah, I think we have I know we put a poll up this morning pretty early. So there we have a poll on the Twitter page right now. It is, what is your favorite coffee brand? So your choices are Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, other coffee, or I added something for our friends overseas. I'm a tea person, and we have one vote already today, and it's for tea. So,
and Bob, where do you fall in the coffee brand poll there?
I am definitely an other coffee because I drink locally. My kids have all worked at a mom and pop coffee shop here in town, Limestone Coffee and Tea, Batavia, Illinois. Big shout out. Not show sponsors, but friends of the show for sure. And they fuel my day every single day. I prefer to make French press.
Awesome. So I used to be a big Starbucks person back in the day. Usually one with the mochas or the lattes in general. And then I discovered Dunkin' Donuts coffee, just black coffee with cream and sugar. So I guess that's not black. But that's definitely my choice now. I'm definitely a Dunkin' Donuts type. So let's transition real quick to our Monday motivation board. And what we have here is basically the Twitter Monday motivation tag being streamed here, and see what's trending. And let's just kind of go through here and see what is up. And that butterfly looks amazingly beautiful. Quick quote here by Steve Jobs. The ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones that do. I'm getting more motivated here. Bob, would you climb a light like this guy here?
I may or may not have done that in my past, but I cannot confirm or deny.
Perhaps somebody put a Bitcoin in that light and someone's going for it. And then I think as we get farther down here, we'll skip through some politics. There's a guy running with the flag, very patriotic there. And whoever that guy, more politics. And I'm hoping to get to this right here, which is this cute little goat prancing around. And we'll just sit here and be motivated by his friends. And there we go. That is some of your Monday motivation for everyone today. And let's go ahead and segue to the tech news. Bob, take it away.
All right. Well, pretty much tech news this past week has all been about the super rising value of Bitcoin and, of course, net neutrality. Kevin, I'll let you talk about Bitcoin in a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and give everyone a quick lecture on net neutrality.
Let's hear it.
For anyone who is unaware, net neutrality is basically what the name implies. Everyone from a consumer standpoint gets equal access and equal speed given to whether they're looking at their Twitter feed or they're streaming video on Netflix, all that good stuff. Everyone has the same lane. Everyone gets the same amount of attention. And there's a reporting part of that the ISPs have to report on, abnormal packet loss, if there was throttling, why it was throttled. Basically, if you take away net neutrality, they are no longer obligated to report on those things. So then everybody now put on your tinfoil hats, because I'm going to talk about a little conspiracy theory that I believe that there's tons of throttling that is already going on, and they're just not telling us about it anyway. So this is something that we should all be aware of. I think they're voting on it December 14th. So if you have a legislative body that you can reach out to and express your concern or questions or belief on where we stand on net neutrality, I would encourage people to do that.
Very good. And yeah, I don't know much about net neutrality, but it keeps showing up in my social media feeds and things like that. It sounds very restrictive. Even my my domain providers, they ask me to take action, but I'm not sure what to do. Is there anything that people can do, Bob, that you're aware of?
I think there's various petitions out there, but really, if you can contact your legislative representative and let them know where you stand on it, because they're all going to be voting on whether they're going to require this reporting and basically would abolish. So since we don't have very many ISPs throughout the nation, most people, are lucky if they have 2 to choose from in their locality. It could influence pricing, because they're basically creating a pay-to-play model for people who want bandwidth. So,
all right,
that from a streaming perspective, really.
Thank you for the info, Bob. And now we're going to segue into the price of Bitcoin. Over the weekend, I think it had its ups and downs, and it's back into the $11,000 range. You can find the actual price in the crawl on the bottom of the screen. But before we do that, let's talk about Bitcoin Pizza. So this was a lead given to me by Taylor Smith, my coworker. And this is a Twitter account. The handle basically follows the story of a person who bought a pizza May the 22nd, 2010, for 10,000 Bitcoins. And what would those 10,000 Bitcoins be worth today? And for all those who were sad they didn't get into Bitcoin way back when, those 10,000 Bitcoins would be worth $114 million US. No big deal. Bob, have you bought any pizzas with Bitcoin?
I have not, but that would be one yummy pizza, I'd imagine.
Oh my gosh. If you're that person... Yeah, 10,000 Bitcoins. Wow, it just sounds
So wait, so does that mean that pizza place is in possession of those 10,000 Bitcoins? Then how does that work?
You're right. Somebody had to get those Bitcoins, right? That's a great question. All right, the mystery, or the plot has thickened. The mystery has deepened. We'll have to do some investigative journalism.
Investigative reporting on that one.
Yes. All right. Bob, do you have any more headlines that you were interested in covering today?
Yeah, so some other tech headlines for those listening who use the Adobe products. Adobe has an artificial intelligence engine that they call Sensei, and they're constantly updating and building more functionality that Sensei is taking over. And one of the things that's in the news lately is that in the Photoshop realm, Adobe Sensei is making it possible to select characters, subjects, not characters, people that are in photos just via one click. So apparently you can go to the feature is called Select Subject, and you go from the main select and mask workspace. You just click anywhere on the image and it automatically highlights people, creates masks of them. Now, of course, hair, fuzz, things like that, you're going to have to go in and refine those, but it really shortens the time it takes to isolate people in the images. So artificial intelligence, not just Skynet, robots taking over the world kind of thing, actually productivity enhancements as well.
So Bob, let me ask you some deep questions about artificial intelligence. Is artificial intelligence, does it have to be a sentient being that's technology based, or am I just going too sci-fi on you?
I don't think that I don't think Adobe Sensei is going to be able to build anything that would take its artificial intelligence and encapsulate it in some way, shape, or form. If it did, it just would be something that walked around and touched you on the street and said, I highlighted you. All right. You're a blonde, you're a brunette. Like, it's just going to be able to identify. There's not really much it can do. So I think AI comes in many shapes, sizes, and forms, and the stuff that's inside of software that makes software smarter, faster, better, I think that AI is okay.
All right, Bob, do you know what time it is?
Oh, is it that time?
It's that time. And for those who are just now enjoying our show for the first time, we do what's called quiz time. It's where Bob, well, actually, I'll let you explain it.
So we're going to alternate this week from week. In week one, Kevin actually quizzed me on some Star Wars trivia. He went really low hanging fruit because he knew that I knew nothing about Star Wars. So this week I get to pick the topic, and it's going to always be 3 questions, and the category is picked by the one of us that's doing the picking. So this week's category is TV shows that have been traditionally watched by kids.
Okay.
So question number 1. This show features a live streaming video show, very similar to this one, except with much younger participants. And they reference tech products with a fruit name, but it's not an apple. They have the Pear phone and the Pear book. So this was probably in I think it was in the mid 2000s.
Wow, live streaming in the mid 2000s?
Yeah, they were very ahead of their time.
Wow, I have no idea.
So that show is the iCarly show.
Okay. No, still never heard of it.
Yeah, so two on-screen personalities, and then they had a producer behind the scenes. We just don't have the producer behind the scenes. All right, question number 2. This show contained bizarre beings that could play video on their bellies.
Videos on their bellies.
And these bizarre beings were red, yellow, green, and purple. That's your hint.
Gosh, this must have fell on the outside of my, yeah. Gosh, I'm sorry. Who?
So this was in the early 2000s. It was the Teletubbies.
See, that's the problem because, I was an 80s kid, maybe got some of the early 90s. I didn't have my own kids till early 2000s. Teletubbies was probably around, but kids probably weren't watching TV yet, so.
All right. You ready for the third one?
Yes.
The third question is more of related to one of my guilty pleasure shows, TV shows that were traditionally watched by kids. I actually watched it as a young adult and adult. So this show had characters named Slater, Screech, and Mr. Belding.
We're going to get this one. Saved by the Bell. Yes, finally got one. All right.
1 for 3, not bad, because it was a very obscure category. So I'm now a little nervous for next week's quiz because I feel like I wasn't as kind as you were.
That's okay. That was good stuff. Good stuff. And now, speaking of good stuff, we're going to segue into a shameless self-promotion for Bob with his podcast called My Friends Are Amazing.
So the concept for the podcast is pretty straightforward. I've met some really great people throughout my life, and they do some amazing things. And I thought, hey, why don't I interview them and share those amazing things with the rest of the world? So I'm up to episode 6. It went live this week. I did it with my buddy Chris Lowe. He's local to me in Batavia. Most of my other guests have been scattered throughout the U.S., hoping to get some guests from overseas. We just have to work out the logistics and timing. I basically record the episode on Thursday evening and edit and publish it that same evening. So it's kind of a new hobby for me. Next week, my guest is going to be my 16-year-old daughter, Lillian. And some of you might be saying, well, Bob, I thought it was about your friends being amazing. Well, as you raise children and watch them become young adults, you actually see a lot of qualities that hopefully you see a lot of qualities that you enjoy. And my daughter and I actually have become friends. So we're going to talk about her pursuit as a gymnast, which she's been a gymnast all of her life, and probably touch upon things about how she balances that with just being a teenager. So it should be really interesting. So I'm looking forward to it. Feel free to check me out on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn Radio. Give it a subscribe. I'm really proud of the 6 episodes so far, and they cover a wide variety of people, places, and amazing things these people have done. So give it a listen.
Along with that, we will put all today's show links and whatnot in the description when we remember to do so right as soon as we can. So thank you, Bob. I've enjoyed your podcast so far.
Hey, thanks for the plug.
No problem. We're going to switch over now to our Umbraco update. And for those who've never seen the show, our roots came from the Umbraco community, and we like to keep it personal there. So we got a big announcement from the HQ this week. Bob, you want to tell us about it?
So what we're looking at on the screen now is Umbraco Cast 16, the final. Per and Niels have been doing these video broadcasts throughout the years. They probably do one every 4 to 6 months, sometimes longer, sometimes quicker. But they've been doing it for quite some time. So the announcement that came out from the HQ this week is that Per, our buddy Per, is going to be leaving the HQ after being there for, I think, at least 10 years. So that's a little bit sad. So they put together a video to kind of be the farewell, Per and Niels Umbraco cast, but also to say goodbye to Per. It was a great episode. It's pretty funny in true Per and Niels form, a lot of tongue in cheek. They made reference to the suits and the VC money that kind of drove Per out. There's even reference to suits with guns off screen with the script. So, obviously, the community did some speculating, and the HQ, Per and Niels heard what that speculation was, and so they decided to poke a little fun at it. It did get serious. There was a Q&A that was led by Niels. It was very thoughtful. I really highly recommend, if you haven't seen the video yet, go check it out. They're on Vimeo. Just do a search for Umbraco Cast. But don't want to spoil it, but there's a little bit of a cliffhanger, and it does have a little bit of a bittersweet ending. So yeah, check it out.
Awesome. And speaking of community, there is another Umbraco show that has popped up on YouTube. I believe it's called Umbra Coffee, and this has Marcin and Callum from the Cogworks. This week they interviewed Paul Seal. And Bob, can you tell us a little bit about this show?
So this was episode 2. Basically, you've got Marcin and Callum, who don't work together, but you can see that they have great online chemistry. So obviously, they use technology on a daily basis to stay in touch. I love that they brought in a guest so early. Episode 2, they brought in an outside guest. The tech seemed to flow really well. The conversation was great. They focus primarily on Umbraco, where we kind of deviate, to and fro. But I'm excited to see where this is going for them, and my hat's off to them. Also, probably a little bit of an apology. They mentioned us, got a huge shout out on the show, so thanks for showing the love, guys. But they asked us about how we were doing our lower thirds and things like that, and then boom, here we go. We've changed it up completely for episode 2. It'll probably stay this way for a while, but hey, if you guys want to talk show tech and maybe some secrets, hit us up on the Twitters at the Bob and Kevin Show.
All right, and also in more Umbraco news, we've got the 24 Days In is back in season. Bob, you want to tell everyone about what 24 Days In is?
So 24 Days in Umbraco is basically an Umbraco advent calendar. We're up to day 4 in the month, and we're up to 4 posts. The thing that I'm really loving about this year, and I believe this is the 4th year, I have to check me on that, but the thing I'm loving is the first 2 days of this year's had no code. One was about Code Cabin and the recipes, the amazing food that was served at Code Cabin this year. And then the second one is about becoming a speaker, just basically becoming a conference speaker, and the path and the journey that we all should take to become those speakers. Put our practice time in, and you might not always be on the big stage or in the main room, so you just gotta keep plugging away and how people break outside of their comfort zone to get there. It was a great one. And then, of course, day 3, they spring into some AI conversations about bringing Umbraco into the AI realm with some face recognition and some just visual recognition. And I think there's some intent engine that's from Microsoft that's been integrated into Umbraco too for comments and things. So there's been demos throughout conferences throughout the year on that, but that was a good article to kind of bring it all together as well.
All right, and 'tis the season for Umbraco price changes as well. So it looks like Courier and Forums are now going through a price increase. Bob, can you tell us what you know about the price increases?
What I know is pretty much what's in the blog post, and I think there was an email that kind of led you to the blog post. Basically, Umbraco Forums is going up €20 from $129 to $149. Courier is jumping up to $9.99. I am an Umbraco Cloud guy, so this really doesn't impact me as much. I have one concern about the Forums price increase is that I know that there's other packages out there that are free that are replicating some of the functionality, but also offering a different functionality set. Kevin, I believe you did a side-by-side comparison with 2 other products next to Forums. I'm just concerned that the 20-euro bump might introduce more competition for them. I know they got to get paid. I get that. I want them to get paid to stay in business because I love the software and I use it all the time. Things like this are just delicate. When the price goes up, the price goes up. And especially a product like Courier, if $9.99 is the number, then that's what you got to pay. If you want to, unless you want to roll your own system to migrate stuff back and forth between environments.
Yeah, it is a delicate topic because, you know, having come off my own open source project recently, I know that making money in open source is usually the exception, not the rule. And so, you know, kudos to the core team for getting as far as they have so far with Gold Partnership, with their paid products and whatnot. They need money to make the core thrive. And yeah, it's a delicate topic because as you increase price, you start reintroducing people who revisit the make or buy question. And like I said, there's competitors out there as well. All right, moving on. So I think, Bob, you and I both received our Cyber Monday / Black Friday toys in the mail. So, Bob, do you have something you want to share with us?
Yeah, so I couldn't pass up the deal on, you could get an Amazon, you can get Echo Dot and a TP-Link smart plug for like $35. So I couldn't pass that up. So the Echo Dot went right up into my bedroom for controlling the lights up there and providing some white noise at night. And the smart plug actually used that yesterday as part of my Christmas decorating. So it drives a little light up Christmas sign in our kitchen. So just set it for sunset, and when we go to bed, it turns off. And probably use that plug someplace else after the holidays. But Alexa can control that as well. I don't like to say her name out loud because then she's going to be waiting for some command.
Yeah, and it'll set mine off over here. Okay, and so
how about you?
For me, I decided to go with a food industry item, and this is called an air fryer, and it's top right here. And I took these pictures here, and it's a appliance for your countertop, and essentially I made chicken wings, the bottom left there. It doesn't use any external oil. What happens is it basically recirculates hot air and it picks up some of the oil from the food itself, fries it naturally there. And the bottom right there, I've added some cayenne peppers with butter and some vinegar and garlic powder. It was very good. My kids were clamoring for more and more and more. I could not keep up. So I went with the air fryer, which was a very, very awesome gift, and we'll probably wear the darn thing out here before too long.
So can you fry anything in that?
I've made bacon in this, and let me tell you, there is no other way to cook your bacon anymore. This is it. This is how you do it.
All right, so we might have to get an update from week to week on what Kevin has air fried because this is very interesting.
Yeah, and Tom Fulton, he while I didn't get one, I think it's called a one pot or something like that.
The pressure cooker.
That I'm closely following that as well because it's apparently a healthy option, easy to cook. So. And if we could segue now from things we bought for ourselves to things we can buy for other people, Bob, what kind of cool toys did you find to buy for somebody else?
2017 is totally the year of Amazon for me. I'm actually eyeing this Echo Spot for my daughter. Echo Spot is basically a combination of an Echo Dot with a video screen alarm clock. So it can play videos, it can pull in feeds, but it's also just a cool looking little alarm clock. Hopefully that will help my daughter stay on top of her game, and maybe she will even get intrigued to utilize it and maybe modify, like write in her own Alexa skill. So planting those seeds.
Gotcha. And let's see. For me, let's see here as I try to do this in real time here. I had picked a Polaroid type camera where it actually is digital and it prints out the bottom. The problem with this particular camera is it ends up having a really kind of crap reviews. So what I ended up deciding to do is analog. Go with the old original analog. So my kids have no idea what an old analog camera would be because they've lived completely in a digital world. So for me, I thought one of the coolest things would be an analog camera. So I'm kind of excited. I might
So
actually
those things
buy
are
one.
really making a comeback, huh?
Yeah, who would have thought?
So what's a Polaroid camera set you back? I didn't notice. I couldn't see the
It was
price on the screen.
$100. It's out of stock right now. I think the real money is in the film over time.
$100 is still pretty pricey for an analog camera, though.
It is. So probably more for the nostalgia than
I wonder
anything.
how much they were back in the day, because everyone had one, right?
I had one, but I cannot remember, and I don't know what that translates to $2017 at all. So okay. So there we go. We got some gift ideas moving forward, and then let's round it out with your favorite Christmas movie, Bob. Go.
Favorite Christmas movie of all time, hands down, Elf.
Nice.
They should just stop making Christmas movies after Elf. It's in heavy rotation in our house around the holidays. My daughter loves it. She's a big fan of physical comedy, and I just love watching her laugh. So it's just good holiday silliness.
So my movie, some people may not call it a Christmas movie. I think it is, but it has a Kevin in it, so a little bias there. Kevin McAllister, in fact. So it's the very first Home Alone, also a physical comedy movie, and so that would be my choice.
Yeah, how did those guys not die? They would have been dead like 3 times over, right? The bad guys.
Movie magic. All right. Well, I'm going to give you the final word, Bob, here before we sign off.
Well, the final word is live television is often daring. So we will see how this turned out, even with a pretty solid practice run, apparently. We will see how this turned out. I'm excited for all the episodes coming. Hopefully we'll get about 999 more, and then we'll get re-signed to a new deal. So this was fun. I can't wait to do it again.
All right, we're going to let the music take us home.